Self-aware leader. It's Jason Ruby coming in hot and heavy on a Saturday afternoon. I love taking a Saturday or a Sunday when I have no one interrupting me and hit a project hard. Just focus on something, and that thing I'm going to make sure that I kick ass and get done because I have zero interruptions. Everybody else is goofing off, playing, doing whatever they want to do. And I'm sitting here having fun finishing a project. So here's what you do. You're like, oh, Jason, all you do is work. Yeah, I work 7 days a week. But some days I'll work 2 hours. Some days I work 12 hours. It just depends on what's going on. But I usually have something set up for the afternoon for a reward. If I get this project done this Saturday morning, I'm having a barbecue, we're having people over, that type of thing that sets me up. And it's like, I've got a time limit. I've got a reward. I've got something I can do. No one's going to bug me. I'm in my home office and I'm having fun getting the job done. So it's a little hack. Sometimes you should try it. Take a Friday afternoon off and then do it on a Saturday morning if you're worried about time. But for me, it's productivity and execution is where I'm at. And I'm not going to waste 12 hours in a day when I could work for those 4 hours and work really hard. And then today I answered a couple emails. Got that done. Boom, boom, boom. Somebody responded. They must have been working on a Saturday too. Bam, got the appointment all set for a sales call for next week with a client. Did that on a Saturday. Today I want to talk about something that is near and dear to me, and it's something about self-awareness and personal growth, especially when it comes to leadership, and that is humility. And we've talked about this before, and I don't want you to tune me out. The minute I said that word, some people will be like, humility, that doesn't get me very far. How do you have humility in this type of world? Well, Jocko Willink, super badass Navy SEAL, has an amazing podcast. Look him up. He also wrote a book, and I encourage everyone to buy it. It's called The Dichotomy of Leadership. The Dichotomy of Leadership. And this book has changed my life. And I guarantee it'll change your life, especially when it comes to taking self-responsibility. What does that look like? But he defines humility as something totally different. He even says, to make a bold statement, super Navy SEAL commander, all that, says humility is the most important quality in a leader. Now that seems counteractive, doesn't it? It seems counterintuitive. In a world that celebrates Instagram influencer, confidence, charisma, all these things, you would think it's all ego, right? And the people that have the most ego, those are the ones that are succeeding. But that's not the case. Ego can be a powerful motivator, but it's a dangerous trap, isn't it? And when our egos get inflated, then we can become resistant, get this, to feedback. We become blind to our own shortcomings. Have you ever seen that? I was talking with someone earlier in a meeting last week, and they like to talk a ton. They just over talk. And we had a C-suite meeting, and everyone's like, I really don't want to talk to this person because they talk too much. This person has a blindness to their own shortcomings. They could get so much more business done if they had humility and understood they don't need to talk that much. That in actuality, it's better to listen than ask questions, right? That's what we learn. I let everybody else, 80% of all the other people in the meeting, talk, and all I do, my 20%, is asking questions and kind of making sure that the conversation is steered in the right direction. In whatever conversation I'm in. I'll ask questions, or I'll ask a specific person, what do you think about this? I always you should never make like these definitive statements. Always ask questions and get a consensus with everyone. That's what leadership is, right? But when our ego gets inflated, we become resistant to feedback. We're blind to our own shortcomings, and we are unable to learn and grow. We start to believe that we have all the answers. And you got to check yourself for this as a leader, because it's like, if you don't even want to hear someone, they're like, hey, boss, I got a great idea I was thinking about. And then you're like, tune out. That's a problem. You should listen to every single person's idea. You don't realize the janitor may be seeing something every single day while he's cleaning the restrooms and come to you and be like, hey, boss, I have an idea. And it could be an amazing idea to help with customer service because he's seeing a problem that's happening. You don't know what that is. When we start to believe that we have all the answers, this is a recipe for stagnation and failure. You've already started to go downhill. Some of you are stagnant right now because of this. You've been in this business for so long that you're an expert. You've got the 10,000 hours, so you think you have all the answers. You're not willing to take somebody with fresh eyes. Gary Vaynerchuk talks about this, and it's so funny. He says, I always look like I'm a pervert when I'm at the airports because I want to see what apps 12, 13-year-old girls are on because those are the apps that's going to be Instagram all started that way. Snapchat all started that way. TikTok all started that way, right? He said, I want to see what are the latest and the newest apps, and preteens know this. See, he has humility. That's a tremendous amount of humility to understand that I can learn from a preteen, and it's going to help me get ahead in marketing, to get on these platforms before they get congested, right? Think about it. How many times have you seen a talented leader, guys? We've all seen this. We have a name right now. Boom. It's popped in my head right now, a person that was derailed, that fucked up their careers because they couldn't keep their ego in check. Literally, it happens all the time. So what is the power of humility? Jocko Willink talks about this. Humility opens up a world of possibilities. It allows us, number one, to listen, to truly hear and understand the perspective of others, even when they disagree with us. This is so powerful. Listening shows that you care, shows that you love. You need to let people know, I'm listening 100%. I put my phone down. I want to listen to you. I want to listen to you, Jason. Then learning. We're continuously seeking out new knowledge and skills, recognizing that we always have more to learn. So it's listening, learning, and then leading to build trust and respect with our teams. Acknowledging our own limitations and always willing to empower others. Isn't that right? Isn't that what we're really called to do? Whether you believe in the universe or God or whatever it is, your higher power. That's our calling in service to others. Not to please them, but to serve them, right? To empower them, for them to become leaders. That's the whole idea. Leading leaders, isn't it? Jocko goes into talking about the micromanagement myth. This is one area where humility plays a crucial role, especially when you're managing up. And we often blame our bosses. So maybe you're a middle manager. Maybe you're not the business owner right now. Maybe you're a sales manager, you're a finance manager, whatever it may be. I want you to listen to me. We often blame our bosses for micromanaging, but Jocko argues that the solution lies in leadership, not complaining. When we take extreme ownership, that means this is 100% my responsibility to figure this out, to figure my boss out. My boss is narcissistic. Perfect. Let me figure out his narcissism. What is he like? What is he not like? I've done a whole podcast on this. How to ask questions to your boss. How does he want to communicate? Does he want emails? Does he want Slack messages? Does he want text from you? Does he like reports? Does he want PDFs? Does he like Excel sheets? What is he like? I need to communicate him the way that he like. What is his work love language? What does he get jacked up about? What is the thing that makes her excited? When you come to her and you say, hey, I built this new position and here it is and here it is. Here's what's going to happen. Here's the ROI in it. Boom. Is she excited about, spreadsheets? Is she excited about sales? What is your boss excited about? And then why aren't you going in that direction and making the company better with a lens of what she loves? Because you can do that, right? That's not going against anything. You're the middle manager. You're not the top boss. And why are we so ignorant and not flexible enough to think that we cannot get the job done in a way that benefits our boss? I've never understood that. It's like, I need to go against him to do this. What are you talking about? Well, we've got this sales team and they're wanting to add to the sales team and bring another sales manager in. And I think we should do customer success, and customer success means, be more new school, not so old school. Well, why can't you do both? Well, what do you mean, Jason? Well, you're going to hire people and they're going to be called salespeople and you're going to train them the new way to do sales, which is customer success. How does that work? And if you think that your system's badass and the new school way is the way to go, then your numbers and ROI is going to show that, right? Who cares about the title? Yeah, okay, I'm supposed to hire a sales manager and 3 salespeople. Perfect. Hire them. And then you take charge of them and train them the way that you want. And then the language that you use when you come to our boss, you say, hey, Susan, just want to let you know, we hired the sales manager. We hired the salespeople. Here's what we're doing. Here's where we're at. Here's KPIs, whatever old school thing that they want. Here's how many sales we got. Here's how many appointments we're making. Here's where we're at as far as revenue off of each individual after a month of them being on the job. Here's what we're working on with each one. Whatever they want, ask them. Maybe they don't want all the details. Maybe they just want to know that the job is done and you're handling it. Why can't you work? Listen to me. This is so important as a middle manager. Why can't you work in the box that they give you? There's a sidewall of the boxes. Guess what? If I stand in the middle of that box, I have a ton of room on all 4 sides, don't I? Learn to work within those. Stop trying to think that you need to create something new. And after you earn, and you've given a ton of rewards to your boss, and you've made them look really good, and you've made them look amazing and awesome, guess what they're going to do? Jocko talks about this. They're going to start trusting you. When they start trusting you, what happens? The box gets bigger and you can move your arms around even more and you get more freedom. Then eventually, after a year of kicking ass and making your boss look amazing, maybe at the end of the year, fiscal year, you can come to the boss and say, hey, I kind of have this little pet project. I think it would just be amazing and help us out. And I kind of wanted to, it's not going to go against anything that you've done or I've done, but I want you to look at it. I need to really get your advice on it, boss. And there may be some things that I want to change, but I want you to look at it and maybe we can kind of blend my thoughts and your thoughts together, and then let's accomplish this. Don't get stuck in the weeds. Guess what's happened? They're going to go a little bit of old school. Fine, prepare. Maybe they'll tell you, you know what? I don't, just present it to me, present it to the meeting or whatever. I trust you, Jason. Why? Because I've showed for a whole year that I'm on their side and I'm willing to do whatever it takes, and we're kicking ass. Stop playing victim leaders. You guys do this over and over and over again. This is what our society, the biggest problem we have in our society is being a victim. This is the problem I had when I had depression all the time. I just was overthinking about myself so narcissistically and then making everything about me and how I feel. And that leads to depression for me and self-pity. Next, you guys ready? Kind of hitting you pretty hard there, huh? Next is checking your ego. So how can we cultivate humility in our own leadership? I want to end with a few self-aware questions that you can ask yourself. I always do that. Number 1, am I open to feedback even when it's difficult to hear? You could do this with your spouse, right? Your partner. Are you open to, and I would even say the step question, if you want to go 2.0 advanced question, not only am I open to feedback even when it's difficult to hear, have I created an environment of safety that allows for this feedback? That's the important one. Number 2, do I actively seek out opportunities to learn and grow? Seeking them out. Am I proactive in my learning and growth? Next, am I willing to admit my mistakes and take responsibility for my actions? Am I willing to admit my mistakes? Hey, you know what, team? This is my fault. I should have. Take 100% responsibility every time. If something goes wrong in your work, it's your fault. And let everyone know that. Because here's what's going to happen. When you're sitting there, hypothetically, when you're sitting there, you're going to have a couple other people say, no, boss, it was my fault too. I should have worked. I should have done this, this, and this. Be like, oh, okay, perfect. So I know it's my fault. I'm the leader, and I didn't need to work on this, this, or this. Jim, you said you should do this. Susan, you should do this. Let's go around and let's all just write on a board the things that we probably could have done or should have done, maybe even if it's a little bit more detailed. And let's write it down. And so this next quarter, we're going to work on these things, all of us, including me. And I want you guys to hold me accountable as much as I hold you accountable. Dude, that is so magical. Everybody begins to trust everybody. It's okay to say that you're screwed up or that you fucked up or that you had a bad day or something, your grandma died and next thing you know, you did the Excel sheet button wrong and you put an extra 0 in the ads manager at Facebook. So you spent $5,000 for the day instead of $500. You don't know how to cover it up. You don't want to say you're sorry. So what do? You figure out, you get like creative. And then that's going to lead to having an issue or a problem down the road. And the next thing you know, you had a good person that gets fired. Why? Because they felt that they didn't have any trust. They felt like because of your horrific style and leadership, and I'm using that word right, horrific, you have not created enough trust in that environment to allow them to make mistakes, because that's how they learn and grow as a leader, right? If you don't have people making mistakes, they're not growing. They're not learning. Think about it. If your work is going really smoothly, everything's going super fine, and there's no mistakes happening, they're either hiding them from you, number one, or number two, you're stagnant. That's a good indication that you don't have leaders or people are just widgets. If you just have everybody as a little widget and they're not being creative, everybody should be making mistakes and learning from them and growing from them, and you guys should be openly talking about them. It just allows more abundance. Next, am I willing to admit my mistakes and take responsibility for my actions? Do I value the contributions of my team members and empower them to succeed? Do I value them? Do I honestly love them? Do I honestly love those that I've hired, those that I lead? And if not, that's because you don't have a personal relationship with them enough to love them. Screw all this bullshit that's out there now. Love your people. Don't be creepy. Don't be weird. Don't be doing long hugs or, stop all that bullshit. But loving your people selflessly, not selfishly, selflessly. And what does that look like, Jason? That looks like wanting them to succeed, doing what it takes, coaching them, being in their lives, letting them talk to you and you listening. It's all about coaching, guys. I say that over 90% of leadership and 90% of your time should be in coaching others, not doing work. I know these are tough questions, but they're essential for any leader. If you want to get your full potential as a self-aware leader, you have to understand humility isn't about weakness or being passive-aggressive. It's about having the courage, keyword, it's about having the courage to confront your own ego. It's about having the courage to embrace a mindset of continuous improvement. And we're all going to be honest with ourselves right now. We're all going to be acknowledging our flaws. We're all right now going to commit to become more humble leaders. And I want you to make that commitment right now. If you're driving, it doesn't matter. I want you to tell yourself out loud right now with me, I'm willing to become a more humble leader. I'm willing to become a more humble leader. I guarantee you the rewards will be worth it, not just for yourself, not just for your family, but those that you lead in your work.